There have been a ton of new makeup launches recently, so I have almost a full face of new makeup today. I have the Patrick Ta Foundation Balm, the new Milk Makeup Concealer, and also Milk Makeup eyeliners. I also have a new eyeshadow palette from Hallberg that I've been dying to try, some cheek products from Pacifica Beauty, I have the Merit bronzer, and I have a few lip products as well. So it's basically a full face of new makeup. So let's jump right in. I brought you in a little bit closer, and we're gonna start with base. So I have just skincare on, a little bit of brow gel, but other than that, I'm barefaced. And we are starting with the Patrick Ta Creme Foundation and Finishing Powder Duo. So I got the shade Light Medium 1. They sent this over in PR. And if you know the Patrick Ta packaging, it's very similar to their blushes and their bronzers. So it comes in the Rose Gold Compact. This retails for $52 and I think there are 24 shades. And you get a cream, which has a little lid, which is really nice so it doesn't get dirty, as well as a corresponding powder. I think this can be a little bit confusing to shade match because it's clear to me, seeing the product in person, that the cream is deeper in the pan than it actually looks on the skin when you apply it because it shears out, and when it's concentrated in the pan it looks a little bit deeper. But I've only swatched it and I have not tried it on my skin. I have to say I'm a little bit nervous because I generally don't love foundation balms. As someone with oily combo skin, I'm just wary of products that have a lot of waxes and emollient ingredients in them, just because they can lead to breakdown on the skin a little bit more quickly than liquid foundations in my experience. But that's not always the case. You know I love my Merit Stick foundation. There are definitely other balmy foundations that I do like, so I'm willing to give it a shot. I do find that balm foundations apply best over a slightly damp base. They just apply a little bit better when you have some glide. So I'm gonna go in with my Peach and Lily Glass Skin Veil Mist, and I'm just going to lightly spritz my face, except for my brows. So this is meant to be a blendable medium coverage cream foundation paired with a satin finish powder. They don't give you specific application directions. They just say apply the cream and then apply the powder, although they do say it pairs best with their brush, of course. I don't have that brush, but I am going to use my Thrive Cosmetics brush. This is actually a bronzer brush, but because it's so dense and soft and like cushiony, I actually really like it for cream application. So I'm going to dip directly into the foundation and we'll see how it goes. Actually, let me swatch it for you real quick. I got the shade Light Medium 1, which is described as a warm olive. It's not overly green. I actually think that's gonna be a good match for me. So here we go. I'm going to pick up some product with my brush. It looks like that on the brush. And I'm just going to pounce it on the skin. I do like that this compact has a really big mirror. So it does feel like it's really melting into my skin, and it feels really smooth. I do feel like it is kind of smoothing over the pore area, especially in the T-zone. It doesn't feel like it's dragging on the skin. It doesn't feel too heavy right now, which is nice. All right, here is one half of my face with the foundation and one half without. You can see there's definitely some glow coming through, which I find is typical of balm foundations just because they have more waxy ingredients to hold the formula together. It gave me, I would say, a nice medium coverage. This is just one layer with a brush. I do feel like it gave me some coverage over some pigmentation on my jawline. And I do really like this warm olive shade because I find that for me, it actually helps color correct some of the redness around my face. So it's not too olive, it's not too green. It's more of a golden neutral olive, which is actually what I prefer and looks best on my skin tone. So I'm going to apply to the other side of my face. I like that this applies well either with pouncing the way that I'm doing here, or with a little bit of dragging. It doesn't pill or do anything weird texture-wise, but there is a good amount of flexibility here, I think, because you can totally shear it out, or you can build it up too. Here's my skin with one layer applied with a brush. I really feel like my skin looks smooth. It's very dewy on me. It's very glossy. And I do worry about how it will wear in my T-zone and around my pores, just because that's where I get oily. So I will definitely be setting this with the powder, potentially with a more mattifying powder as well, because I think the powder in here is a satin finish. And I do feel like it blurred over pores, it blurred over texture, it covered over pigmentation. My skin doesn't look completely flawless, but it's definitely a solid medium coverage. And I feel like you could even build this up more. I'm going to come back to this powder, but first I want to apply some concealer. And the new Milk Makeup Future Fluid Concealer launched this week. I was at their launch party last week. It was really fun. They throw the coolest parties. I just have to say it's always a special experience when you get to go to Milk Studios. But I've been testing this for about a week now, and I really love this concealer. So this is called the All Over Cream Concealer. They say that you can use it all over the face. You can use it almost like you use foundation, which you can do with any concealer, but it is the right texture for that because it's hydrating around the eyes. It's not like crispy mattifying, but it's also stretchy enough to wear across the face. And a little bit goes a long way without looking cakey. So obviously this is not a first impressions. I think the shade 10W is my best match. They did actually also share a few other shades with me, but let me show you what the packaging looks like. So it comes in this really pretty silver bottle with the Milk logo, and you can see through it. That's like actually a window into the product. And it's a short, chubby doe foot applicator, which I love, and it is pointed. I got color matched at the event, and I do think 10W is a great shade for me for all over the face as well as the under eyes. Personally, I don't really like a really bright under eye, but I think I could also use shade 9 if I wanted a little bit more brightening. I'm just using the Esam V29 to blend in that concealer. It's super creamy. It doesn't take a lot of work to blend in. It just looks really skin-like and natural. It looks like real skin. I think you can see how stretchy that formula was too. I just did 2 dots around the eyes, and for me that was plenty. I'm also gonna use it around my nose a little bit where I have some redness. So I'm just gonna dot some here, some there, and around some pigmentation, and maybe around the mouth. I'm really not using a lot of product here. I'm just using that touch of concealer to spread around the face. It's a really elastic formula, and that's something that I love in a concealer. I like when a higher pigment concealer goes a really long way. So that is the shade 10W. It's not too peachy. It's more of a golden warm than a peachy warm, which I appreciate because sometimes companies go way too orangey with their warm tones, but Milk did a great job with this shade curation, I think. And this is $29, and it comes in 30 shades from very light to very deep with a range of undertones from cool, neutral, olive, as well as warm. So let's go back to the Patrick Ta face palette, and I'm going to go into the powder. So this is what the powder looks like. It is obviously a pressed powder, and they describe the finish of the powder as a satin finish. So I don't think it's going to be super mattifying. It's more going to create a soft focus look on the skin. That's my guess. I like to use a smaller brush for powder. So this is the Wayne Goss Airbrush, and I'm just going to lightly pick that up. And you can see the shade difference. The powder is more of this like light yellow undertone, much lighter than the foundation. But again, these are a little bit deceptive in the pan because you're seeing a very highly concentrated picture of the product and not exactly what it's going to look like on the face. So let's see how this goes. I'm just going to lightly set. I guess I'm gonna set all over just so I can get an idea. All right, so this half of my face is set. This side is not. You can really see the difference. Actually, this did a pretty good job of mattifying my skin. And like I suspected, it's very blurring. So the areas where I was worried about the T-zone or the pores, even though the foundation did smooth over those areas, it looks way smoother with the powder. It kind of created a filtered look over the skin, which I'm really happy about, and I hope that it lasts. You can also do a more targeted application of powder if you want to maintain the glow of the foundation. So you could just set the T-zone or the under eyes and leave it at that, I think. But of course, I'm combo oily, so I am going to set the rest of the face. All right, base is done. My lips are just feeling a little bit dry, so I'm just adding some of the, what is this? The Rhode Peptide Lip Treatment, the clear one. I am really curious how this is going to wear throughout the day. It's late, it's mid-afternoon now, so I think I'll probably be able to wear it for like 6 hours or so, but I will leave that review for my wear test today in a pinned comment, which I always try to do in new makeup videos. I realize I just powdered my whole face and I have cream cheek products that I want to wear, but that's okay. I'll just show you how I do this over powder, which is something I honestly do all the time anyway. I talked about the Merit Bronze Balm in my August favorites, but I have not played with it on camera very much. I did cut in some B-roll, but I just thought I would talk about it here and show you how I apply it. So this is a very, very, very natural bronzer. It's aptly named because it is a balm texture more than a cream, and it has the sheerness of a balm. This is more of your natural skin day, glowy, everyday kind of bronzer, which totally aligns with Merit's branding. I have the shade Sen, which is, I think, the third deepest out of 6 shades, and this is a really nice, warm, golden undertone. I like to apply creams over powders with a brush. So I have my Sephora 56 brush. This is just a foundation brush, but I like to tap the product onto the brush and then tap onto the skin. Something I mentioned that I really like about this bronzing balm is that the shape of the stick itself is an oval. So if you did want to swipe directly onto the cheeks, you can do that without over applying. It really fits like under the hollow of your cheekbone. This is a pretty emollient bronzer. It does not really set down. So I'm going to lightly tap around the edge of my face. I don't want to over apply it or bring it too far in to the center of my face. If you're new to cream bronzer and you don't know where to start and you're maybe scared of using something too pigmented, I think this is a really nice beginner-friendly bronzer because you really can't over apply it. I think you can probably even tell as I'm applying it on camera that it's not uber pigmented. I don't even know if it's gonna really show up on camera, but in person, it gives you just that kiss of warmth. So you can see that added a bit of dewiness back onto the cheek. You can see the light hitting right there. It is a more dewy bronzer. I think if you have super oily skin, this maybe isn't the one for you. I would go for the Charlotte Tilbury cream bronzer, but I think if you like natural makeup, if you're scared of other cream bronzers being too pigmented, or if you have dry skin especially, I think you'll really like this. Then I have a new to me brand, Pacifica Beauty, and I have heard great things about their makeup, but I've actually never tried them, and they sent over a ton of stuff. I was able to request a few things I wanted to try, and of course Gabby Alvarez gave me all of her recommendations. One of the products I really wanted to try was their cream blush. It's called the Fluffy Blushy, which is really cute. So it comes in this glass jar, and all of their makeup is vegan, it's cruelty-free, and it's at the drugstore too, which is really nice. So this is the shade Sunset. It's definitely a peachy kind of shade. I'm going to pick this up with an e.l.f. Airbrush Stipple Brush, and I'm just going to whisk this over the cheek. Again, I'm just lightly stippling. I don't want to pick up too much product. It's like a whisper. Oh, I forgot to mention the Merit bronzer is $30 and the blush is $11. It has this kind of whipped texture in the pot now that I'm picking it up with my brush. but I like that it's not overly pigmented. It's actually buildable, but it's really easy to work with because you don't get too much product on your cheek at once. By the way, I think e.l.f. discontinued this brush, which is shocking because it's like the one brush everyone always talked about from e.l.f., but I haven't seen it on their website in a while, haven't seen it on Target. I think it's gone. And if that's the case, that is an absolute travesty because this is my favorite lightweight, affordable brush, especially for cream blush. I'm so sad about it. All right, I'm gonna stop there. I don't have highlighter or anything like that, but I do have some light bouncing off of the cream products on the cheeks, and I like that look. For eyes, I'm actually gonna go a little bit backwards today, and I'm gonna start with eyeliner because I wanna do a kind of smoked out wing. You'll see. I have the new Milk Infinity Longwear eyeliner, and I also have the newish Linda Hallberg Cosmetics Shimmer Saga palette. So this is stunning. It looks like this. These are all these like really ethereal, shimmery topper kinds of shades. There's a white gold, there's a duochrome green, there's a blue, bluey silver, and then like a purpley blue. It's stunning. I'm gonna swatch it for you in a second. But I actually want to create a winged, like a smoky, smudgy wing, and then add these shades on top of that. So I am gonna start with this liner. I have the brown shade, it's called Limitless, and this is a gel liner. I'm so excited that they have eyeliners again because their old liners, previously discontinued, were really, really good. And I was really sad that they were gone, but I'm glad that they've brought them back and I think they're excellent. I can't really talk while I'm doing eyeliner, but I'll explain what I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep the liner really tight across the lash line, and then I'm going to smudge outward just to create a smudgy wing. I do this by roughly applying across the lash line, and then I smudge out using a small angled brush. And today I'm using the Thrive Cosmetics smudge eyeliner brush as well as their eyeliner fine brush. This really doesn't have to be precise, but I will say for hooded eyes, if you're like me and you have hooded eyes, you want to relax your eye and look straight forward, because when you look down, you can see there's a little break in that line, but when I relax my eyes and look straight forward, the line is straight. So that's how I get my eyeliner. It's a very imprecise process because, to be honest, my eye shape changes day to day. It just depends on where my eyelids are folding that day. It's just the way it is, and my eyes are not symmetrical, so each eye is a little bit different, but the best advice I can give is just relax and look straight ahead at the mirror. This eyeliner is great because it doesn't tug on the eye, and it gives you some time to work with the formula, but once it sets, it really sets down. All right, I'm gonna stop while I'm ahead before I mess it up. I also wanna mention the eyeliners are waterproof. There is a sharpener at the end of each pencil, and right now they have a black, a brown, and this royal cobalt blue. It's really pretty, but I do hope they come out with some more fun shades because this formula is very, very good. Let's talk about the Shimmer Saga Quad. So Linda Hallberg Cosmetics is Linda Hallberg's brand. She's an incredible makeup artist. It's very much an indie beauty brand, and I think you can only shop this direct on their website. This quad is $42. And these shades are so beautiful. So let me swatch them for you real quick. These are pressed eyeshadows, but they have a very creamy binder to them. So they feel really emollient. They're very, very soft, and you get a ton of payoff with each swipe. I mean, I just dip my fingers into those shadows and you can just see how beautiful they are. Okay, these are one finger swatches and they look wet on the skin and they're so complex and twinkly. They do have a slight micro glitter, but you don't really see that. You mostly see a wet looking shine across the skin. So this is the shade Success. It's a very icy yellow gold. This is my favorite shade, which is called Crush, and it's this green duochrome. It's ridiculous. This is the shade Passion, which is an icy blue sort of shade. And over here we have the shade Love, which is a purpley pink duochrome. I mean, these are beyond. They're obviously very iridescent. They're not going to give you a very deep look, but applied over a deeper base, they can also give you that really galactic kind of eye. I have only swatched these. I haven't applied these to the eyes yet, but I feel like I have to use the shade Crush all over my lid. That is the green, it's like a green blue duochrome. It's so interesting. There's a lot of silver in here, but there is this like, I don't know, a very interesting flip to this shade. So I think I'm just going to apply this like all over the eyes. I am gonna use my finger because I think the warmth of my finger, oh my God, can you handle that? The warmth of my finger is really gonna help spread this formula across the eye. Oof, wow. Wow, wow, wow. I love that shade. Okay, I'm dying. This feels like a cream eyeshadow. Like on the finger, the way that it's melting on the eyelid, it feels truly like a cream. I'm also kind of melting this over the eyeliner just so it becomes one cohesive thing. Wow, so beautiful. For some precision, I'm going to take a flat eyeshadow brush. This is the Esom V27. It's just a little brush. And I'm going to use that to blend out the edges a little bit. I truly can't handle how complex and sparkly this shade is. I don't even know what to call this shade. It's like a green, blue, icy, but there's almost like a little bit of pink in there too. And then I'm just gonna diffuse the edge so it kind of blends out and scatters. On this side, let's just see how it applies with only the brush. This kind of like the What's Up Beauty palette that I talked about in my August favorites video. This is so interesting because there's a lot of shimmer in this formula. By the way, I think fingers are best for concentrated application. There's a lot of shimmer in this formula, but it's not dropping on my face. I feel like the binder in this shadow is really holding all of the particles together, so it doesn't feel like it's scattering, and it's definitely not giving me a lot of fallout. So I'm just going to use the brush again to diffuse the edges, but I do think the finger works best for like focused, concentrated application. Maybe for a little icy drama, I will take the shade Success, which is that white gold, and I will apply that to the inner corner just for a little bit of brightness. For me, I probably wouldn't apply more than 2 shades of this at a time just because it is so bright. I really want the focus to be on the complexity and the beauty of 1 or 2 of these shades rather than doing too much, but you definitely could pile it on if you want. They are playing well together and the 2 shades are really just kind of melting into one another. I do not have a new mascara, so I'm going to apply my Tower 28 Make Waves mascara. This was also in my August favorites. I've been using it non-stop. So I'm gonna apply this and come back to finish off the lips. I'm back. I cannot get over how well the Tower 28 mascara builds. My lashes look so full and so long. There are very, very few mascaras that I can apply more than 1 coat of because my lashes are so fine and so straight. But this one, I layered on like 2-3 coats of it, and that never happens for me. For lips, I want to do something a little bit deeper, a little bit chocolatey. I think that will be a nice contrast to the brightness of the eyes. So I'm gonna go in with the Tower 28 one liner in the shade Draw Me. And this is a very deep brownie berry kind of shade, but it shears out really beautifully. So I'll show you how it looks. I can't talk while I'm doing this, obviously. I know it starts out really deep, but just trust me. This does not have to be perfect because I'm going for a really diffused application. I forgot to say, these are not entirely new, but they're recent releases. So I'm just going to take my finger and I'm going to diffuse along the edge of the lip. So basically, I use this shade as almost like a lip contour rather than a lip liner because I'm not going for a sharp definition. Then I'm going into the Posh Gloss, the Victoria Beckham Beauty Posh Gloss in the shade Top Down. This is a really deep berry, but it shears out on the lips a lot, and I think it's perfect for this look. I love that. It is vampy, but because it's glossy and sheer, there's almost a wearable vampy quality to it, even though it is such a deep shade. It's just kind of mysterious and smoky and sexy. I'm going to finish off my brows and then let's talk real quick about all of the makeup. I am filming an in-depth brow tutorial, which is why I'm filming this portion separately. So keep an eye out for that video either right before or right after this one. All right, I finished off my brows. Let's talk about the makeup. The foundation looks really nice on the skin, and I'm actually surprised how much I like it because, like I mentioned, foundation bombs can be very polarizing, especially on oilier skin types. I will say that, like I suspected, I'm definitely getting oils peeking through my T-zone, so I think the powder in this palette is more of a finishing powder for me, or it's more effective to set around the face and less so the T-zone. I just know my skin, and I know that with these like satiny pressed powders, they just aren't enough to stand up to the oils in my T-zone. But if you have dry skin or normal skin, that might be enough for you. I think I'm going to have to add just a little bit of translucent powder because this area is the only place where I don't like how my skin looks right now. But the perimeter of my skin looks really nice, and I think it looks exactly the same as when I applied the powder over the foundation initially. I also mentioned that I would only apply this with a brush, but now I'm wondering, the foundation anyway, now I'm wondering how it would apply with a sponge. I actually think it would look really nice and maybe even a little bit more sheared out with a sponge. So I'm curious to try that. Maybe I'll try that next time I wear this. The concealer, like I mentioned, is beautiful. I've been wearing it a ton. I actually did a very, very long day wear test of this at Disneyland last week during the heat wave here in California. And it was like a 14-hour day in 100+ degree weather, and it wore well beautifully all day, considering how much I actually was sweating that day. The Merit Bronze Balm has already appeared in my August favorites, so you know I really like it, with some qualifications, which is that I like this more on natural makeup days. For example, I feel like it fades away a little bit in comparison to the dramatic makeup I have on, but for a more natural, easier on the go look, this is perfect. And even though it's dewy, because I'm applying it on the perimeter of my face and not the center of my face, it still holds up to my more combo oily skin. The Fluffy Blushy, yeah, Pacifica Fluffy Blushy is really pretty. It isn't the most pigmented blush. For example, I don't think the blush is the first thing you notice on my face, right? With all of this other makeup on, but I think it's really easy to use if you're looking for a drugstore cream blush. I think this is a really nice option because it applied really evenly, it didn't get patchy, and it gave me a really nice, like, diffused application. The eyes obviously became the star of the show here, and this Shimmer Saga palette is stunning. I can't wait to use more of these shades. If you want to play with more iridescent, playful shimmers, I think this is a great place to start, especially if you don't have those huge palettes or you want to dip into color, but you don't want to invest in a huge palette. A little quad like this, I think, is a great place to start. And the curation of these shades is so nice because it's cool tones, but it's wearable because of these interesting shifts. I mean, wearable being a relative term, but if you, like me, don't necessarily like a deep purple look, but you like something maybe twinkly, something iridescent, it makes that color a little bit more wearable without committing to like a deep matte purple eye, if you know what I mean. The Milk Makeup eyeliner is a total workhorse. If you are looking for a truly reliable eyeliner, this is a great option. It's great for sensitive eyes because it doesn't tug, and it's a very long-lasting formula. And the mascara, the lip liner, and the lip gloss else are all formulas that I've used and I'm really enjoying. So it's late afternoon now. I mentioned that I think I can keep this on for 6 hours, so I am going to do that. I always leave a pinned comment letting you know how things were by the end of the day. The only potential issue I foresee is the foundation breaking up here, but I am actually going to touch up with translucent powder. I'm just going to use the Laura Mercier Ultra Blur translucent powder just in my T-zone because I know it needs some help. But with everything else, I'll leave a pinned comment below letting you know how it wore. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I would love for you to like and subscribe. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.